Welcome back to the FF7 equivalent of Earthbound's portrayal of America. Yeah, let's fight Sephiroth.
Fate is not to be taken lightly.
Ooh.
Shut up! Try me. Gotcha. Well. Ride for me. Best do it right.
Yeah, unable to read, I bet. Well, his magic's not that strong.
Anytime now. Enjoy it.
Wow.
Try this. You're done. So long.
Boom. Kinda wish I put the regen on. But I had to go for damage.
Did you miss me?
Aw, thanks.
Not really. It's tough.
Yeah, so what? Screw him.
Do you dream of me? Steady. Go.
Alright, well I assumed it was gonna be a one-on-one, so now it's awkward.
Beg for forgiveness. Take the lead.
I'll show you what I can do. This one's for you. Tagging out.
My turn. I'm waiting.
Alright.
Pay attention.
Really soft.
Right.
There.
Oh, unfortunate. We don't really have anything.
Let's do this.
Let me teach him a lesson.
Ooh, right back at you, Sephiroth. Nice touch.
One more shot.
No, she won't get it off.
Get him.
Ha! I'm a little twitchy about that subject.
I'll end this.
Go on.
Anytime now.
Wow, that far. Okay. Da-da-da-da-da.
Get him.
Deal with that.
So it's my turn?
It's kind of easy to pressure.
You've got this.
My turn. Here it comes. I won't give up. Enjoy it.
I'll take care of you.
Just one more hit.
Let's finish this.
I'll take care of this.
Nothing personal.
One more shot. Why don't you?
And then they do the thing. Yeah. And the punch to the face. It's Sephiroth. Don't do that. Although he does seem like a bit of a punk so far. Ooh, wind infusion.
Don't overdo it.
You're up.
Maybe we stop playing shot for shot there.
Get ready.
Or maybe we go right back to playing shot for shot. Oh, Cloud's toast! Aerith, I'm gonna need another solid.
I can't.
Beg
I'll
for
take care of you.
forgiveness.
Go on.
Enjoy.
Oh. Nearly did it that time. I wonder.
I'll show you what I can do.
Maybe we do a summon. Are we at that part?
Okay.
Got it?
This one's for you.
Beg for forgiveness. Enjoy.
That's it.
Do we save MP? Or do we attack when we should heal? No.
I'll take care of you. Going in.
Should Cloud heal too? No, good idea.
For forgiveness.
Hang in there. Give your best
Okay, limit break ready.
Here it comes. Do you dream of me?
Stay back. Gotcha. Bingo.
No more games.
Get the guard up. Because he's gonna come after Cloud now.
Oh, the memories.
That's all the elements! I wonder if we can sneak this in.
Felt that one. No holding back.
I gotta stop trying to sneak one in. Alright. That one's on me, Sephiroth. You made me look bad. You did me dirty.
Anytime. I see you.
Damn it!
Anytime.
We can probably do this all day.
Floppy. I see you. Don't look away.
Okay.
Do we throw right back? I probably should have healed first.
Gotta give it my all.
Yeah, invincible. Thanks, game. Oh, I thought we killed all those guys. I feel like we're just watching random... Ooh, I know that one. Random FF7, like... vignettes. Whoa, 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 whoa. It seems like a damage race, so I know who I'm rolling with.
Every little bit. Damn it, get him! Really?
Let me hear you wail.
Ooh. Yep. Just like in Kingdom Hearts. Oh no. I don't know why we don't have access to Aerith's stuff.
Let the winds caress you.
Yeah, I see it. Stand still for one more second. There we go. Sephiroth defeated. Maybe that's why we don't need the rest of the game.
Welcome back.
Oh yeah, in red.
We can do this. We can.
I just defeated you.
Make it right.
It was fine. Now you just seem selfish. Don't do it, Cloud. This attack never works. It doesn't work. It never... Why is his shirt on?
Careful now.
Whoa, I read this fanfic.
Does not yet exist.
That's how it was before. There was no destiny before. I get it's a meta commentary, but...
Part of it. One day. But I will not end.
It would be fine if you did.
Nor will I have you end.
That'd be okay too.
This is edge of creation.
Ugh.
Cloud, lend me
I like the song. What?
Let us defy destiny together.
We got Can You Hear the Cry of the Planet Underneath? Probably shouldn't have killed his mom, Sephiroth. And everyone he knew except Tifa. You didn't earn this.
Not yet. 7 seconds till the end. Time enough for you, perhaps. But what will you do with it? Let's see.
I'm actually interested to see this. Are we all in some meta existence? I mean in real life, not the game.
That's right.
Yeah, you're the president. Gonna give your speech? Genova chord progression in the background? Or note progression? That ain't Stamp!
Wait. Was that all of them?
And the helicopters too? Wow, they broke the continuity of 2 games! There's a way to do FF7 continuity breaks without hitting Crisis Core.
Hey, Cloud. Do you see that?
Oh, is he gonna die now? Now I'm gonna feel bad. Well, he made it. that kind of undercuts his arc. Well, with his motivation of being a hero and then realizes it's not chasing fame, it's about things like honor, and then his final act. Of course, the most heroic thing you can do. Yay, the bar is okay. Kinda surprised the wood sign didn't burn. Also, wouldn't wood be super rare in Midgar? Oh, don't show an homage to FF7's original ending. Whoa, that ain't Marlene. Okay, I got my wish. Wasn't he shot to death? Did anything have a consequence?
Marlene.
In a game about the sorrow and permanent nature of death?
Daddy?
That's just a plant, kid.
Marlene!
Ugh.
I'll come back.
So, what now?
Sephiroth.
You don't have to...
As long as he's still out there.
I thought you beat him.
We did.
We can.
Yeah, Earth, you might not like how.
We will.
Maybe she's being brave. Yeah.
If it's to be a hunt, you could use a nose like mine.
See, and this is like the and you buy axe scene from Lord of the Rings, but
I'm in too. Bastard wants to destroy the whole planet, doesn't he?
kind of.
An enemy of hers is an enemy of Avalanche.
Cloud, that's you. What?
Almost there, Cloud. We're almost there.
Then we'll get that rotator cuff fixed. There's a guy with right rotator cuff problems. This is... oh. Oh, a little smile. Yeah, because Zack's... But Zack's only motivation to go back to Midgar was to see Aerith again.
I miss it. The steel sky.
Okay, that's from the original, more or less. She said she doesn't like the sky because it's not covered. She's not used to it. Like, there, what? During the credits of these things, I like to just contrast where I'm at emotionally with the end of the original FF7 Let's Play I did. Where I was like cupping my hands, sharing the most precious thing. It was so somber. We contemplated the nature of mortality, the moral nature of the human race, salvation. Oh my god. Okay, alright. Oh, I'm turning into the meme guy with better teeth. Okay. Okay. What? Alright, let's back. Okay. I'm sorry if I'm getting annoying now. I'm crying. Okay. I wonder if this is gonna turn into rage. Okay. Oh boy. I get it. It's hard to remake FF7 maybe. Although on the flip side, I don't know if I think it is. I feel like I could do a much less ambitious version that would be close. Okay, here's the problem. FF7 Remake is a game with a good song here. I was nervous when there'd be one with lyrics, but it turned out to be okay. And it kind of sounds like the era the game's from. Good job, Yosh. Cool. Yeah, a sort of hybrid of 90s alt / J-rock. Brianna White, fellow Let's Player. Oh yeah, get in, Biggs is both here. Okay, so, and Heidegger is Bender. Awesome. Bite my shiny. Okay. So they're taking it in a new direction. I see why. FF7 Remake, it's got some warts. Combat alternates between being incredibly frustrating and incredibly rewarding. To that effect, it sounds like I'm saying it's rushed, which seems a little odd, but yeah, I think there was a little polish missing. And the juice is often a lot of moments. Ooh, that's a bad lyric. All right. I get that they wanted to take it in a different direction. Sitting down and rehashing something you did, 20 years earlier. I get how maybe they didn't want to do that. That said, by far the strongest moments of the game are the tightest they stick to the original, when they think about the beginning, like the third episode or whatever, when I'm clapping because I'm enjoying it so much. And part of that's because I'm, FF7 is my favorite game. I don't think I'm a fanboy about it. I think I appreciate it on a more substantial level than most of the fanboys. But if you understand that FF7 is about death, then you're in one group. If you think it's about Cloud, like this guy with a big sword, you're in another group. Yeah, I'm being elitist. I'm not sorry. So they want to go somewhere else. That's fine, but this all sort of started with them saying, we're going to make a remake of FF7. And I've heard people say, oh, it's a remake. They're remaking it. And I think that's a little intellectually dishonest. Like, there's a presumption that what's being remade is Final Fantasy VII, because that's also in the title. So, yeah, like that stuff's going really well. The stuff where they stuck closer went really well. The scene in the train where I'm clapping at the beginning, because the themes there are talking about, like, you know, the inevitability of fate and everything, which they ended by undermining. And I thought the original had, like, kind of an interesting take on free will, that it's kind of this thing that sometimes we choose to forfeit. You know, we don't get off the train. It can only go where its tracks take it, but you don't get off the train anyway. You know? So, I don't know, there's interesting things. This kind of has turned into, like, it seems more like a American. Americans are all about the free will. You know, or more Hollywood might be a better way of saying it, but it just like it turned into a story I've seen in American cinema a whole bunch. This whole like, oh yeah, our own fate. We're gonna do what we want. But like, they decided to make it deterministic by essentially making this like, I don't know, an alternate universe of the original, which kind of leads me back. Yeah, the FF7 remake wasn't made. What we have is a game with gameplay that puts it in a different genre. The way it's broken up into chapters is more on the rails. Essentially, an iteration of the system they used in FF13 and 15, you know, that the sort of chapter partitioning. And all of this just makes the original, I think, more impressive. The graphics are terrible, don't get me wrong, but it's the point that it inhibits the game. But when you think about all the plot beats that were accomplished, this plot is condensed into 6 or so hours in the original, and then it keeps going for the other 80% of the game, slightly more than that, 85. That's impressive. And like, aside from the bit about fate at the end there, all the plot beats are hit. And then on top of it all, they have the guts to kill people and not bring them back. As far as I can tell, I mean, maybe Wedge died at the end, but Biggs lived. And then Jesse. Everyone else with a face lived. So we have a different game here. And I think this is going to be polarizing because it comes to the fact that I have two contradictory problems in my head. Or I guess good things you could even say. One is we have a good game. You know? If they said this is sort of an alternate universe retelling of FF7, great, you nailed it. Different genre of gameplay, slightly less emphasis on the RPG mechanics. Midgar in the original is pretty linear, but the game keeps going for the rest. And I think people confuse concepts of linearity in games. Like, if we take Final Fantasy VI, the world of balance is, quote, linear. The world of ruin is not. You know, and you can beat it whenever you feel like the time is right. But even in the world of balance, like if you want to just go somewhere else, you can. If you want to poke around, you can. If you want to, you can. There's no reason aside from your own desires. But like if you want to hop in Setzer's airship, check out what's for sale in Jador, you can. That's a virtue. It makes the world of the game seem like a place. It gives the player agency because, again, maybe they decided that they wanted to shop a thing later. In this one, it's linearized into, okay, you can go to this vending machine. And again, we're cut off from the whole world. The original had that in the Midgar segment, but again, if this were... I don't know, if we look at this through the lens of what the original did, the Midgar segment would have been over by the time we met Aerith. Think about that, how well-paced that plot is. So some things were embellished well, other things I think were unnecessary, and then other things were actively undermining the story itself. Things like, you know, having us have a really long... the whole Shinra Tower bit is a little sloppy. Again, like having Tifa swinging around. I guess that was okay, because that was a hurry, but... You know, that... Yeah. In the original, there is a sense of urgency and hurry the whole time, and they get caught, and then you have a really elegant, relatively speaking, intersection of the core plot of the game, which is about Sephiroth, because everyone's dead. You think you're locked in a jail, Cloud takes a nap, wakes up, and like everyone's dead and his cell's open. Because again, it's Jenova wants him to come to the reunion. Yeah. And that's like, I don't know, that's an organic segue into the plot. Because it shifts to be focusing on Sephiroth. And at first Cloud's like, yeah, this is what it's all about. And it doesn't really make sense. You're like, why? And then, well, a little bit in the game, he sits everyone down and is like, this is who Sephiroth is. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I see how he could be a problem. So, we have a good game. We don't have an FF7 remake. Or remaster, if you think that's the more correct term. You have to, if we're going to be intellectually honest, we have to assume that people might use one and mean the other. You know? We don't freak out when someone says, oh yeah, I have a theory about that. No one is like, technically you have a hypothesis. You know, it's like people's words sometimes blur into each other. So, side quests we saw in the first two chapters, bad. Last chapter, it was pretty good. Going forward, whether or not this is a good change for the story is going to depend on what they do in the next installments. So we can't even really say how good this game is because so much hinges on the destination they're going to pick. This is my favorite part of the song. Nice name, Planner. You can feel like a greater clunkiness in the storytelling, though. Like, you can tell Hironobu Sakaguchi is not there anymore. Brian Sabin, I know how you got your job. I don't know why they didn't hire me. Dave Strife. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to have the uncertainty because before this game came out, it was like, you know, people weren't sure how to feel. And normally when you play the game, that feeling of uncertainty goes away. And uncertainty is one of the most stressful states a person can be in. Even misery is easier on your mind because you know. But this, it hasn't happened yet, one way or the other. So, we'll see. I guess we continue to wait. I've read an interview that said one of the creators said they were it's still gonna be the FF7 you know and love. I don't exactly know how that could possibly be true because they've just established that this is going to be a new adventure. The whole premise of this game is changing it so it's not the same FF7 we know and love. In our best case scenario, we have a grand tale weaving all the different things of all the best things, I should say. Not all of the different things. Of the compilation of FF7 over the years. So ACBC, CCDC, Advent Children, Before Crisis, Crisis Core, and Dirge of Cerberus, which I'd say we've probably had enough of by this point. This is a good place to pump the brakes on that. Our worst case scenario is Zack's around. I don't know why. Like, Cloud's wearing his clothes and using his sword. Like, does Zack just drop dead 10 minutes later? Like, Zack never went to find Aerith? He wasn't like, hey, I'm sorry I took so long. I've been thinking of you. Like, I don't know. It's a clunkier story. Without Hironobu Sakaguchi, he left partway through the development of Kingdom Hearts 2. And some people are like, oh, he was an executive producer, and, you know, they're not often very involved. And it's like, if you look it up, he's a bit of a meddler. He's involved. Some EPs just hire people and then, you know, tell the shareholders stuff every once in a while, but he was in on it, talking to workers all the time. Xenogears actually got made because of that, because he was looking at someone's desk. I think it was Masato Kato, but don't quote me on that, and saw mecha models all over it. Full-sized mecha all over his desk. And it was like, oh, so this is what you're into. And that sparks a conversation, and then before you know it, they're making a mecha game. I said FF7, though. That's not right. I think it would have been earlier. Anyway, the rest of that's true. Our worst case scenario is a love quadrilateral with Zack, Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith. They kill Tifa instead, just to change things up, to pull a Star Trek Into Darkness change up. Or they kill Aerith and let her be revived because that's what the people want. And I guess beyond that, I would say this represents a bit of a frustration I have with a lot of modern culture right now, where they take all the consequence out of a story. We kill Superman, and then he's back, and then we... I don't know. We just, remove permanence. Like, death is permanent, it's unrelenting, and if you want to talk about fate, that's your fate. Mine and yours. And we were talking about Star Trek movies based on the Wrath of Khan a moment ago. Let's go look at the original on that, which was remade by someone who didn't understand what the greatness was. Kobayashi Maru, the unwinnable situation. We're taking a test like that right now. In that movie, Kirk's greatest strength is that he doesn't believe in no-win situations, and so cheats death. Does anything to avoid it, because just something about that doesn't work with him. And eventually, it sounds cliche, but it's also revealed to be his greatest weakness, because in the end, you can't cheat it. He's in denial about getting older, all things like that. And he realizes, oh, I've never faced death. I've been avoiding it. I've been running. And that's kind of what the movie's about, is coming to terms with your own mortality, because you have to face it sooner or later. And stories like this can be so helpful in that regard, and they can be so illuminating. If you have someone like, say, Hironobu Sakaguchi, who has had an illuminating experience about it. In his case, when his mother died well before her time. You know, that set things in motion in his mind that he poured into these stories, or, you know, worked with other people to get it into them. Because sometimes, you know, he was in charge of story concept and then someone else does the actual writing, you know, team efforts and all that. But this permeates into all of his work, and you can see it, the change in tone in the games. FF2, like the Japanese FF2, plays so fast and loose with death, and it's relatively inconsequential and very movie-like in how it's handled. And then later on, it becomes this devastating thing that characters have to figure out. I just don't want to see that all get taken away. If you want to know what people love, why FF7 is beloved, why, this game that hasn't aged well is so common about the people who continue to care about video games. Most of my friends that were playing Halo when we were younger, like in high school and stuff, most of them stopped playing video games and stopped caring, where the video game was a game. You look at like all the journalists and everything and all the people who are still really into it. It was stuff like FF7. Halo can't change your life. I mean, it might get you, community with friends or something, but like the story in it, it's not going to do that for you. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just, it's not going to make you think about these things. It's not going to force you to confront your mortality. I'm picking on it a bit too much. There's a lot of redeeming qualities to it. But my point is that we're shifting towards that in this. And I hope they don't. I guess I should say that would be the worst case scenario. And I have some concerns because this game was at the strongest when it was tightest to the original. And the deviations became weak points. And now they've given themselves license to deviate indefinitely. I expect, Sephiroth's going to try to summon Meteor again. We're going to try to follow him. I was thinking this through. When I said, like, worst case scenario, he kills off Tifa, blah, blah, blah. I don't see how his plan can succeed. Because if he kills Aerith, she stops him anyway. If he doesn't, she stops him anyway. If you kill Tifa to prevent Cloud from recovering, well, then she's in the life stream. So Cloud recovers anyway. And has a similar emotional wound to losing Aerith. So I don't know how you stop it there. We've already beaten him up. I guess you just go for the black materia sooner? I don't know. Anyway, the last thing I'm going to say is I see a difference in how things were handled. Like, there are things in this game that seem like they're in there because they're in the original. But they're in the original because they're natural consequences of situations in the game. And kind of fun and kind of interesting. Like, I think about the G-Biker minigame. Again, it's how are they going to get out of this? Okay, they steal a motorbike from the parking lot and a truck from the parking lot. Okay. And, for fun, they dramatically drive it through the tower. In the original, Barrett's sort of like trapped in there, realizes that they've bunkered him, trapped him in, and so there's no way they can escape. That's how they do it. They get to the highway, and it moves along quickly, and it's punchy. And this, it's hard to imagine that they would have thought this is what we should do based on that situation. I don't know. I think without the source material, it wouldn't have flowed that way, and you can tell. Anyway, is it a good game? Yes. The Final Fantasy VII part is, as it turns out, ultimately a bit of a misnomer. We'll see how many more steps we have, or how many more releases there are, I guess I should say. Many more chapters. What do you rate the game? 3.5 stars, but I'm a tough marker. About 3.5. I'm looking forward to when all of these are out. The piece on a PC, the mod to just restore the original. Because it's okay to leave well enough alone. And again, this is not a bad game, but why would you want to go off script then? I don't know. It seems like, the whole angle they're taking seems more like something you'd see in DLC. It also reminds me a little bit about... This will be my last tangent. In Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Obi-Wan kills a bad guy named Darth Maul. He chops him in half, and then dude falls to his death. They changed their mind about that, though, in a series of comics that were just sort of these weird, stupid, alternate universe, what if? And in one of them, Darth Maul's alive with cybernetic legs. Then they brought that into the Clone Wars cartoons. And then Disney bought LucasArts and said, those in the movies are canon. And then they put him in Solo. So this guy who was dead is alive again. Another event in the proud history of retconning in Star Wars. And then they kind of did the same thing with Palpatine. And it's just, you don't have to undercut the message of what you're working with, I guess. And maybe that's me being precious with the original. But you need to, I guess, understand the idea underneath it all. And if you don't want to share that idea, or if you don't believe in it, or if you want to change it, then you're not the right person for the job. Or that's not the right project. You know? FF7 is a story about, you know, our own free will, and we don't have predetermined lives and everything. That's kind of contrary to what it's about. Because, you know, with what happened with Zack and Aerith, the decision's kind of made. You know, Sephiroth killing their family, like, it's all kind of set in motion in the Nibelheim incident in the story, and really after that, it's almost deterministic, because there ain't no getting off this train we're on, you know? Like, what are you gonna do? Let the planet die? Well, then this is the course we're on. And none of these characters in this were really yearning for freedom. I don't know. But let's not overlook its strengths. I am interested to see where it's going. I think where they take it is, you know, in a way it's opened it up. I get the meta commentary about making a remake about FF7. Now they have a bit more freedom. They can do things they couldn't do before because of being forced to follow the original. So I think that's going to be worth playing. I guess we'll find out more once they start showing us stuff, but that's promising, you know? And if someday they say, no, we're going to actually remake or remaster the original, that'd be pretty cool too. And it's fine having a world where both exist and we still have the original. I just was kind of hoping that is what would be brought forward. So there is definitely some very real disappointment, but, you know, there's greater tragedies. That said, you know, in terms of storytelling, all this does is make the original look even more amazing. So how about that?